Hey guys, welcome to The Creative Agent. Today we are talking to Nicholas Wise about how young agents can really stand out and dominate in already established markets. Really pumped for this one. Let's get into it. How do you define success for you? I know like a lot of the guys I speak to are like just getting started. I'm sure that's the same for you, but like, what do you see as successful for yourself?
I think success for me, business-wise, it comes back to the legacy that you're going to leave, right? Legacy is super important for me, and I haven't started with legacy yet, you know? I'm in the very early stages of my career, what I think my career will be. Success for me is the legacy that you leave behind, you know, the agents that you bring up through your team, how successful they are as well. You know, the kind of agent that you hold yourself in the market, you know, personality, your culture, how you know, make other people feel in your office. That's successful. The numbers and things like that, that's a byproduct of being, you know, hungry as hell, you know, hitting it out of the ballpark every campaign and just wanting it more than everyone else. And I think you either kind of have that or you don't, right? Like It's very hard to learn to be more hungry. It's very hard to have more passion about something. It's hard, right? It doesn't come like it's like a script or a dialogue. So I think you either have it, you don't. But I think with success, you know, the success is, the deals that you do a year, it comes with the, you know, transactions, the GCI you write, the team that you have, you know, the balance, if you can work-life balance, which I'm not that good at, but if you can, that's successful too. But for me, where I'm at in my career, I think legacy is a long-term success that I want to leave. I want to leave a legacy, you know. You see these guys like an Alex Phillips or, you know, John McGrath. And that's legacy. They will leave legacies, you know, Michael Pallier probably as well. So I want to have that kind of, that's my goal, I think, you know, to have a legacy behind me.
That's a really kind of like selfless answer, and I think that's, it's a very big picture. It makes me think about when you say that, like any mentors or anybody that you looked up to, like it feels like there might have been a real positive influence there that...
Yeah, like I'm a massive NBA fan. Like I grew up in the States. I grew up in New York when I was younger. I moved over there for a fair few amount of years with my family and got into my basketball, love my soccer, love my footy back here though. I went to a very sort of a strict all-boys boarding school, but I was very sport-orientated, so I loved my basketball then and travelled back and forth from the States doing a lot of basketball. And a guy, Kobe Bryant, huge, massive fan of Kobe's. I've got his jersey in my office, signed and everything. So someone like that is someone that's left this incredible legacy. LeBron James now is someone like that, and I look up to those people with legacy. But in terms of personal mentors as well, I think, you know, in our industry there are people out there that are sort of leaving that legacy, and for people that I look up to as mentors too. But yeah, I think big picture, I look at those NBA players and, you know, the kind of way that they hold themselves as sports people, as family people, what they do for their communities, what they're up against when they first start out, you know, like the culture in America of where they come from and where they become. So yeah, I think that's pretty special.
I guess sort of, you know, I've noticed too in the past couple of years there's been this really cool thing I've seen where different agents from different agencies are all kind of getting together and sharing things and doing talks in different spaces. I've seen that you've done a bunch of talks at other agencies and things. I think, you know, have you seen that developing more and more? And then, what are the kind of things that people, I guess, are looking out for now? Like, where do you think that hunger for knowledge is sort of coming from?
I think there's definitely a huge push for it because people are going, or I think agents, I should say, are looking at more this abundance mentality. I think that's a new age of real estate, right? Abundance. I think, you know, I've been doing this for a minute, but old school real estate's mine, whereas
like
scarcity mentality. Yeah, totally, exactly right. Whereas, you know, if I can link up with someone else that has the same energy, same ideas, and they're doing it a different way, I want to learn why they're doing it a different way. I want to understand how they put a deal together, and, you know, to be able to bounce ideas off other agents from a Bell, you know, PPD, a Bresic Whitney, a Ray White, whoever it is, I think that's fantastic. That's awesome. We all work in similar but different markets as well. So I think that's the only way going forward. That's how we're going to learn. That's how we're going to evolve. You know, even if it's just someone that you can have a bit of a soundboard off as well. But for me personally, yeah, I've spoken at a few of those types of seminars, let's call them. And I think they're great. I think people get a lot out of them, and I think that's the only way forward, really. Yeah, definitely.
What do you think the kind of the biggest challenges for particularly, I guess, young agents or people coming into the industry? When I say young, as in the years that they've been in there, not necessarily their age, but what are sort of the biggest things that you see hold people back or that they're most fearful of when they get into it?
I think for me, what would hold myself back, or I think for me what would be is a challenge is comparison. When you're ultra competitive and when you grow up playing a lot of sport, that's just how you are naturally. I think that's why I gravitated to real estate. For me, it is a bit like a game. It's competitive. You're going up against other agents, and it's healthy competition, I think. But I think the comparison to other people is a challenge, especially for the younger guys getting too much in their head, and not just looking at, you know, the bigger picture, but also I guess where they want to get to and not comparing it to someone else's journey. If people don't fall in love with the grind, which I learned very early, you've got to fall in love with that journey and that grind, and that's what you will look back on in 10, 20 years time and say, I love that time of my life where I was, you know, riding something really small and, you know, had a banged up car, but it was awesome because I was, you know, I was in the box seat, I was making calls, I was having fun, I was doing deals. I think you look back and say that is the best time of your career. And I think agents want to get too far ahead of themselves with that too. You know, people have focused a lot of time on this social media and, you know, spray and pray type marketing and all this stuff. If we just take real estate back a little bit and you look at the fundamentals and what actually creates leads and creates business, it's hard work, time on the phone, and getting in front of your clients. If you're doing that better than anyone else in the market, I can assure you're going to make money and you're going to progress your career. So I think understanding the fundamentals of where your leads are coming from is critical, and not getting too stuck up in your head.
What's that grind look like? Like if someone said, you know, because I agree, the kind of comparison thing's a big deal. We talk about it a lot here. The kind of like, I can see that person doing that on Instagram, so I'm going to try that and see if that works. And it's like, well, they've done a whole lot of foundational stuff before then, right? What's a typical grind when you say that? Like,
the grind is the journey that you're on. The grind is, you know, whether it's waking up. For me personally, I wake up very early in the morning, 5 a.m. in the gym by 5:30. If not, in the water swimming or doing some kind of training in the morning. Into the office nice and early, 7:15 to 7:30. I don't miss a beat with that. If someone else beats me in the office in the morning, still I'm angry because someone else is there before me. I'm not turning those lights on. That's part of the grind. That's what I'm in love with, right? Yeah, exactly right. And then it's not stopping until the deal's done, you know. And if that's at 10 o'clock, like it was for one deal that we did last night, or if it's you know, going the extra mile on a Sunday to do an open for inspection, that's all part of the grind. And it's understanding what you want to do and how far you want to go in your career, and understanding that that's all part of the journey that you're on. That's what for me the grind is, but the grind could be, you know, different things for different agents. You could be, you know, really comfortable with, you know, writing, you know, X amount, and, you know, that's 50 calls a day, and that's, you know, 5 days a week. For me, that doesn't excite me. You know what I mean? For me, it's a different kind of mentality that I have.
I guess it's the effort and the intensity, right? But there has to be some sort of strategy there, otherwise, you know, it is just, like you said, like the shotgun approach. What, you know, you're obviously spending years kind of building up a database and stuff. I know that marketing and that sort of branding's accelerated in the past few years. Is there a way for younger guys to kind of time crunch the numbers and everything? Like, where are those new leads coming from now? What do you think that's still fundamental? Like, work under someone, make those contacts?
I think real estate is a very simple kind of industry, you know, and I think that from my experience in it, I think that it's almost like your first years are like an apprenticeship. And that's the way I kind of explain it to my guys now as well. You know, you do your 2 or 3 years apprenticeship, you build a database, you learn your scripts and dialogues, you understand how to manage vendors, you understand how to manage buyers, and you slowly work up that progression, and then you're ready to go out on your own. Everyone's different though. Some people just jump straight into the industry because they've got an amazing network and they can, you know, survive on their own 2 feet, and they've got some capital behind them as well. But I think until you really understand, you know, the discipline that is needed in order to progress a business within the industry and become a practitioner that can go out and win business against the other agents, who I think in the eastern suburbs of Sydney is probably one of the most competitive, best markets in the world, right?
Super competitive.
Exactly.
Really high performers.
High performers, right? And so as a real estate practitioner, we need to understand how to beat different people and how to strategize around that. And I think it would be a challenge to just go and do that straight away with no background at all. So I think there is that, that training ground which is needed in order. It's like a launch pad almost, it's like a runway. You sort of, as an associate coming up, and then you just launch into the market. And if you have the right support behind you, which is super important for me as a leader within my business and my brand, is having my agents actually have that launch pad. So when they do go out on their own, they're writing 500, $1 million in the first 2 years, and they're fine.
Super powerful as well.
Totally, mate. 100%. It's super critical. Yeah, for sure.
So how did you find it then? I mean, still a young guy, and there's a lot of old middle-aged white men dominating that area, and a couple of others. But did you walk into any listing appointments and be like, what are you doing here? When's the boss coming?
I still get it. Hey, I'm like got a bit of a baby face. Some people are like, "You're so young," but I'm slowly growing out of that a little bit. But how did I do it? I did exactly like that. I did my 3-year, apprenticeship with a leading agent in our market, Angus Gorrie, who taught me a lot. I came into it fresh, didn't have any experience in the industry. I literally was given, a phone and said, "I'll open for inspections" to call, and he taught me scripts, dialogues, and how to put a deal together. Then it eventually just grew and grew and grew, and I guess the hunger kind of brought me out of that team, and I wanted to go and do it myself, which I thought I always would. And from there, I've just kind of, put myself in a position of kind of uncomfort. And I think if you get uncomfortable, when you're comfortable, you shouldn't be there. You should be uncomfortable, And whether that's putting on the first assistant, when I first went on my own, put my first assistant on straight away. I didn't even have the money to afford my own salary, let alone hers. And I just thought, look, unless I'm on the phones making calls, I'm not going to be making any money. That person needs to be doing the administration behind the scenes, which I'm horrible at. I still can't do it. So I just made that call, and I was eating tuna and rice, and I still am eating tuna and rice every day, but it's fun. I'm enjoying it, and I think that helped me. That uncomfortable situations I'd been in early kind of really helped me to where I am now. Yeah.
So I love that. I love the seeking discomfort thing. I think it's really powerful, and a lot of same. Like I find that when I get comfortable too, like things just stop growing, and I get like a little bit anxious because I'm like, man, the best things that happen have been when there's chaos, or I'm like, have to hit that next level. Right?
Got to get to that next level. Have to.
It's crazy. And I like the idea of investing in people as well. When did you kind of make the switch from going, okay, there's scripts and dialogues and processes, to like, okay, now it's about people and it's about looking after individuals. Like when I jumped on, I had a look at your Instagram and social and things like that. It's not very real estate-y, and there's no like signboards with sold stickers, but the majority of the real estate stuff I did see were client testimonials and captions about helping people on that next chapter. And I think that's a really smart way to do it, because you're kind of taking the ego away from it, right?
Totally.
In a subtle way.
Totally.
How do you approach that with people and clients?
I think it comes a little bit naturally. I think after you mature a little bit. I'm still young, 29, but after you start to mature a little bit, you understand it's not just about the deal and getting paid on that first commission and things like that. And there becomes a bond and a relationship with a lot more of my clients now, where you're getting a bit more repeat business. So I think naturally that's going to occur anyways. I think if you've got a desire to help people, you probably had that desire earlier on anyways as well. But I think coming back from, as I mentioned before, Angus, who taught me a lot when I was coming up, like he still says it to me, like, never ever leave a cent on the table, right? Because that's what you're there to you're there to sell the property for the owner, but you're working for them. You're there not to leave a single cent on the table. And if it's that tough phone call you've got to make to that buyer to get them up another $5,000, even if the owner's going to take what the offer is on the table, you're just there to get the last price for them. I think that's part of the care factor. I think that's probably come from him a little bit. And then, the agents that I've been mentored by and things like that. So, over the last 2 years or 3 years, I've really tried to put myself out there and meet other people and have a mentor that, coaches me and things like that. And I think his personality is probably kind of rubbed off on me a little bit where, also, and I have a, John McGrath and guys like that around. So.
What's the best way to connect to those guys if you wanted to
take them out for a coffee.
Yeah?
Yeah, take them out for a coffee.
Still works?
Still the old school way. I'll give you an example. Shannon Whitney, right?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't know him from a bar of soap. Reached out to him once, probably about 3 years ago when I first went on my own. I said, I've heard amazing things about you. The real estate mind, he's a genius, this guy, he's the best. And just reached out and said, hey, can I come over and meet you for a coffee and just take you out for a coffee? Went over to Brezzik in Darlinghurst, sat down with him for probably 2 hours.
What?
Yeah, and just talked with him for 2 hours. And I was just like, wow, this is so incredible. Yeah. At the end of the meeting, he goes, we've still got more to do, come down to Rosebery next week. Went down to Rosebery the next week, and by the end of it, I was putting a deal together, he was coaching me through it, and it was just two guys that, one, I looked up to him and I didn't know anything about him, but, he wanted to, help. And again, another person that's left a legacy like that and is open to caring. And there's people out there like that. So I think as a young person coming out, just reach out. And people give you the time of the day,
Super generous.
Yeah, very generous with the time.
I think, I look at it too and go, okay, well, what are they getting out of it? What can you do for that person? And when I see it, it's like, I think they kind of just want to know that you're going to do something with it, so don't just have the meeting and then not fucking do anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then that kind of other thing of legacy where you might pass that on to another agent.
Totally.
Someone's going to ask you someday.
That drives you though. That drives you. So when you go and meet with someone like, I know for me personally, now I meet with Shannon relatively often, anyways, and he can see the progression, things like that, and I ask for advice. If I'm not doing it, I'm like, he sits in the back of the mind, So if I'm not performing, for me, I'm like, I'm wasting that guy's time. I don't want to do that. And that's, for me, time's everything. So
totally. And the speed of implementation as well.
Totally.
I think we're kind of, as an industry, and I think even people now, there's so much information that we're absorbing, but you can get into that habit of just watching too many podcasts, too many YouTube, listening to people and not actually implementing stuff.
Go and do it, hey?
Everything, yes.
Go and do it. Yeah, exactly.
For sure. In terms of personal branding within, you're obviously in McGrath, a large franchise. How much do they kind of push the personal thing versus holding that torch with McGrath?
I don't think they push it. They don't really push that. I think McGrath is such an incredible brand. It's a brand that's known. It's nearly national brand now. It's across a number of states. It's a brand that's been around for a long time and has a great name for itself, especially within the eastern suburbs where it was really born. So I've been blessed to be working under that umbrella. But they don't really push it too much. And I think nowadays the brand is important, and that's why I actually was gravitated to a brand like McGrath, because it's a well-known brand, not a boutique initially.
Yep.
But I think the vendor will pick the agent, I think, in the end of the day based on who they are. And if they think you're a good person and you're going to get more money than the next three that they interview, they'll probably go with you. Doesn't matter if your brand was called ABC Real Estate or, Bell Real Estate or McGrath Real Estate. Yeah. They're going to go with the guy that thinks it gets them the best price, I think. Yeah.
What influences that? What makes them think that you're going to get them the best price?
Track record, hunger, communication, speed to response in some kind of way, whether it's an inquiry that comes through, the dealing that they may have had and open for inspection. For me, I think what wins me business is hunger and actually showing that hunger. It's kind of, every agent says, I'm the hungriest, I can commit to you this and that. But if I'll do the work. But if they can see I'm going to do Sunday open for inspections for 6 weeks, they've called me off the back of a recent sale and I can give them a testimonial and they can see how I hold myself as a person, as an agent, and back that up. That's how I think I win business. And that's where I think some of the old school agents, as you mentioned before, they lose business because they get complacent. They're running the receptionist, they're the principal, they deserve the business. There's a little bit of innovation too.
Totally. There's a lot of kind of copy and paste, even agents copying each other and that process. Are you still looking for I imagine they're just little tweaks now and details that kind of stand out and are a little bit different.
Yeah.
Do you kind of have anything that you think separates you in those situations? Apart from you being
It's a really good question. I think I think team's super important. Yeah, I push my team pretty hard, which a lot of agents can't match. So that's not really innovative, but I think if you've got an awesome team around you and people recognise you, you know, I win business based on some of the team members. You know, you know, and I'm not afraid to shy away from having a team and leaning on them as well, because I want them to be independent. I want them to grow. I want them to have that opportunity to be where I am with their own team one day, because again, goes back to what's success, and that's what it looks like, I think, But in terms of technology and innovation, not really. I'm a pretty simple guy. I still send proposals on email. So,
I think part of that team as well is also identifying, because I imagine that they all have their unique strengths as well, and going, not having that ego of like, I'm the team leader and I got to like front everything. It's like, these people are better with that, or they might resonate, something like that.
Totally.
I love how fast everything's changing and adapting. What do you think this year particularly is going to look like?
In terms of the market and where it's heading?
The industry, I think, itself, the market somewhat, but yeah, like, are you going to change the way that you do anything? Do you think that, we've been, you know, last year was a really strange year where a lot of processes changed and we kind of had to hide away a little bit. Other people, you know, the operators just kept doing their thing and pushed through it. I saw it kind of show the true colours of some people last year as well. But yeah, do you see this year, is there positivity around it?
I think there's a lot of positivity around it. For me, I'm going to go, and our team, we're going to really try and, you know, not shy away from those face-to-face meetings, getting in front of people, all those kind of things that we did pre-COVID, right? You know, in terms of technology, I think there's definitely some ideas out there with technology, but I just like to keep things simple in my business. You know, not try and reinvent the wheel. I think the market is going to be very strong in the areas that we're selling in. You know, interest rates are very low, consumer confidence is, exactly right, spot on. So I think we're going to see a big year. I really do. But in terms of, you know, where I see the industry going, I think more collaboration. You know, what I actually did like with last year is that when it started getting tough, you know, the true colours came out, but the people could rise to the top. You know, I kind of got rid of a lot of the fat. The good agents could rise to the top, and they can band together and have those conversations where they're going to learn from each other. And I saw that a lot last year, bouncing ideas off new agents I'd never met before or had dealings with, which I think was really cool. And I think people are like, okay, no, he's actually a good bloke, or, you know, not just judging someone based on what you see on their social media or how, you know, what car they drive or how they hold themselves. You know, it was actually like, no, he's actually a decent dude. I liked hanging out with him. He had some good ideas. I think that's kind of changing a bit more. For sure. The ego is kind of going a little bit. There's still some there, trust me, don't worry. But it is going.
There is still a little bit there. But likewise, I thought it was great to see the strength of the industry and the unity and people coming together, and kind of made me feel a bit more confident about the industry as a whole as well. Like, if people are going to back each other up, that's a good thing. Speaking of the public ego, do you pay much attention or any strategy on Facebook, Instagram, social media?
I don't even run my own social medias really, nah. I'll post a photo here and there with my missus or my mates or something like that. We love going up to Byron Bay, so that's usually when I get on the gram. But other than that, like Erin or my EA usually runs most of my social, or all my Facebook and stuff like that. My Instagram, or just my direct messages I'm running, that's about it. But other than that, not really. I try not to.
Property itself, is that part of your marketing campaign?
We do.
Digital spend?
Yeah, we do a bit of a digital marketing with some of our campaigns. Not huge. You know, the sponsored ads which come through on Facebook, those kind of that kind of advertising, I think definitely has a place for sure, and we use those with our campaigns. But my personal branding and social. Look, I put a little bit of money behind it. I've made sure it looks okay, and, you know, my Google business pages all look right. But I don't find that, you know, with social media you're getting leads off it. I think it's more just a touch point. It's like a digital letterbox drop now. So I'm a real person. Like to show that, you know, we're doing sales, where, you know, we've got a team around us. You know, I am a real estate agent, but I'm also a human being as well. I think people can gravitate towards that. Originally, you know, I was very shy away from that, and I had my private page on private, had a separate business page, and I didn't want to mix business and who I was. And I think growing up and maturing, I've kind of just let that go, and I am what I am, right?
Yeah.
And if people like that, that's awesome. And when people get to know me, then usually they kind of gravitate towards my vibes. But other than that, yeah, most of the property stuff going on socials from Aaron or the EA or Max or Jack, the guys in our team, are usually just posting stuff and we're tagging each other. And that's working. I think there's definitely a place for the agents that are putting big money behind it, because that's maybe how they get their lead sources and within their market. Whereas with my market, my lead sources are through generating phone conversations, which generates face-to-face appointments, and meeting people and really just showing the hustle behind it. Yeah.
I love that because, I've met a bunch of young agents and people coming in and going, they look at social media and go, oh, we've got to do that and we've got to focus on that and build up a brand and be a name for ourselves in the market. And it's like, there is other ways. There's definitely that option of just fundamentals, old school, do what's right by people, handshakes and phone calls.
Totally, 100%. That's probably more my style. I think there's a massive market for social media, don't get me wrong. However, I don't know, I just shied away at it initially and it didn't feel natural. And if it didn't feel natural, then that's fine, because sitting down on the phones for 2 hours banging calls out, that feels natural to me and I love it. So I'd rather put more marketing towards, maybe another, staff member or someone else banging out calls and getting face-to-face appointments. And yeah, I think social for me and my business is like a digital market, a digital letterbox drop almost, putting it out there, it touches people here and there, people see it, they see Nick Wise in Coogee, eventually they want to, spot on, plants a seed, they're at the dinner table, with a family or friend, oh, have you met that Nick guy? That kind of thing. So that's the way I see it.
Good, man. Yeah, I think a lot of agents will appreciate hearing that. Man, thank you so much. I think there's heaps there that is of
You're
value.
welcome.
And
Thanks so much for having me.
Coming in.
I appreciate it.